So when I found out earlier this week that we were going to be in this big, giant theater, and I figured there would be less than the number of people here, and I mean, my estimate is that there's probably more than 50 people here, which is incredible, and I would have expected much less than that in a small room. But when I heard that that was going to be the case, I said, you know what, this is good. Maybe it's meant to be this way. Maybe we're actually both figuratively and literally taking over the World Congress on Public Health. They gave us the stage. We're going to capitalize on it as much as possible. And so earlier today, actually, I asked two other groups of people whether they'd come up and share some of their perspectives on engaging young people. And so the first I'm going to invite up is Yasin and Mike. Mike, Yasin, come on up. They're going to explain a little bit about the incredible leadership and work that they've done on engagement, but also on incredible policy making at the World Health Assembly during global climate change negotiations, and just share some of their thoughts in the effort of getting more young people on stage. So Yasin, Mike, thanks.
Thank you, Thomas. So we're here to talk about our experiences primarily with two organizations. The International Federation of Medical Students Associations, or IFMSA, and the World Medical Association's Junior Doctors Network, both of which are platforms for young professionals to engage with global health and public health policy and really get involved on the world stage. Both Yasin and I were fortunate enough to serve as supervising council members for the IFMSA until relatively recently. Neither of us are medical students. We're both young physicians in training in the UK and Canada. The IFMSA is one of the world's largest international student organizations with members from over 100 countries. It's over 60 years old, and it has a platform to engage young medical students in global health. It has been incredibly active at the World Health Assembly. It has really set the benchmark for how to do preparation for young people to engage in political processes, and has some of the best kind of work on preparing young people to engage on the world stage. So one of the big initiatives has been partnering with the Graduate Institute in Geneva and Ilona Kickbush to set up a pre-World Health Assembly forum for young professionals to understand what's going on at the Assembly, engage with the policy-making discussions, and meet with experts from the WHO, from member states, and engage with the negotiations. And it's been so successful that a number of governments have actually put young people on their official delegations to the World Health Assembly, just because they've been so impressed by the quality of the work that young people have been doing. It's also been active in the Sustainable Development Goal negotiations, and there are lines in the SDGs and the Rio+20 outcome text that would not be there if it wasn't for young students and professionals, and Margaret Chan has even acknowledged this in her briefing to member states during 2016 after the SDGs were implemented. So there are lots of opportunities for having global platforms where young people can meet, connect, and then with a number of senior experienced people, open up the door for them to engage and influence policy on the world stage. I'm going to hand over to Yasin now to talk about the kind of JDN and what they're doing.
So the JDN is the Junior Doctors Network, pardon my voice, the Junior Doctors Network of the World Medical Association. It's a network that was founded in 2010 with the purpose of basically bridging the gap between people who, like Mike and myself, and like many hundreds of other people around the world, have been involved in student organization that allowed them to have a voice and to have a platform to act on a global stage, to transition through the phase of early career when those opportunities aren't so readily available anymore. And it's done so far so good, meaning similar opportunities like the ones we had with IFMSA, where we were able to engage in policy-making settings like the World Health Assembly, like things that had to do with sustainable development, like climate change meetings, have been replicated with the World Medical Association. I think it's an interesting case study for the WFPHA that's looking forward to set up its kind of youth and early career network, because while being a more restrictive network that's only for medical professionals, it had some of the same ambitions, and it's work to create channels of communication and channels of engagement for those younger professionals to be involved within actual processes that have to do with that day in, day out of the organization, including the policy making, including some of the representation work, including some of the technical and scientific work as well. So I think those are all things that we wish to continue being involved with the WFPHA to kind of learn from each other and collaborate like was suggested earlier on. Thank you.
Excellent experiences and pretty incredible leadership they've shared that they've had. Another example of that is the group that I was fortunate enough to go and participate in their student pre-conference day for the World Congress on Public Health, the International Student Meetup on Public Health. And so, yeah, come on up. I'm going to invite up the ISMOF 2017 team, and I'll introduce them in a second. But I just want you to have an idea of how incredible what they did was. They organized this pre-conference session for the World Congress on Public Health, and they did it with only 3 months' notice, unfortunately, due to some, unfortunate hiccups in the road of the previous planning. But what they organized was a full-day conference that had over 200 people there participating, and some of the most dynamic speeches and talks and workshops I've seen all week. Don't tell the organizers here. But, really, the quality of their session was incredible. This morning, we had a really nice dialogue where we pulled chairs together and started having some conversations, critical conversations around engaging students, young professionals. And they had such passionate and wonderful ideas to share that I wanted to give them the opportunity to share some of them with you. So come on up. There's Jenny, Tiffany, RJ, Naza, and Ali is back there too. So thank you very much, and give them a warm welcome.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Thomas. We're really glad to be here today, and we're able to create a student conference for everyone to attend prior to the World Congress. So I just wanted to start by acknowledging the traditional landowners, past, present, and future. Today Thomas asked us to have a chat about what we thought were some issues or some thoughts regarding to student engagement in public health. So I think each of us will share a few interesting ideas that came up today. So I'll start off by talking about some of the barriers that I see to public health. And for me personally, I thought there were two crucial things, and this was inaccessibility and the imposter syndrome. So when you look into public health, you see these wonderful people, experts in the field, people like Sandra DeMeo, who everyone's in love with. You see people with PhDs, world leaders, and you think, how can I possibly be someone who can get into public health? How can I get there? And then you start going, maybe if I do try, get my feet wet, try and get in, and you do some cool stuff. But even after running the conference, I still felt like I was an imposter. Walking around the Congress, I was like, I really don't feel like I belong here. And what I think is important is that we change the culture of public health and make it accessible for everyone so that they do feel like they have the support to get engaged in public health.
Leading on from what Jenny's talked about in terms of changing the culture, we think it's really important to try and broaden the perspective of public health to encourage people who perhaps aren't yet interested in the health field or don't know that public health is relevant to them to get involved. And we can do things like try and engage industries and different consumers, as well as looking at schools and general undergraduates to try and really increase awareness that public health is something that's relevant for all people.
I'm shorter. And leading on from that, I think there's a role for the World Federation, other associations to empower existing student groups and grassroots organizations filled with students and young professionals that are already interested in public health. I think they can legitimize these groups and organizations and shine a spotlight on the great work that they actually do by providing them mentorship and guidance as well. And I think this creates attainable role models to the upcoming generation. And they can see these people who are their peers and to their perception at the same level as them. And they can start thinking, oh, that could actually be me, and I actually do belong in this area of public health. And I think this makes it easier to become engaged in public health as a career pathway, as well as it makes them believe that they can actually realistically turn their passion into action and build on the work of others that have come before them, so that they can then become the next generation of leaders, and it kind of just cycles on from there.
The other note that I'm going to make 3 notes. Number 1 is that it is really hard to make students enthusiastic about public health when they're not receiving any education in public health, particularly medical school students when there's no rotation. Or even if you consider law students, IT students, where none of them get any education on public health during their undergrad. And it would be great if an organization with authority like the World Federation for Public Health Association offers a curriculum or a framework for that, which is later they petition universities in association with Medical Student Union or other unions to make universities adopt public health as part of their course. Secondly, I would like every public health organization on the local level to also look to solve problems within their community. One of the problems that why there are not many opportunities is that it's limited by financial matters. Say, either people have to go to a third world country, current projects are such that either people have to go to a third world country, find money for it as a scholarship, or someone else has to fund it for them. So if we try to address problems, say, who Aboriginal communities in Australia have, or a hunger problem, or homelessness in Australia, we can do way more projects. I think we should design projects so more local students can attend them. And the last thing, which I personally am very passionate about, is that public health and science should not be above politics. I think we should be politically active and take a political stand. I was happy when Michael Moore mentioned the French and Russian Revolution, and I think that is something we should also follow. Thanks.
Hello everyone, my name's Nas Han. A lot of what I'm going to say, I guess the main point was covered by Bettina earlier and also Manasa in her talk. A lot of us already have our foot in the door of public health. We've already been inducted. And I guess a main issue is that our interest frizzles out and our momentum frizzles out as well. And I really believe that a role of an organization such as the WFHPA is to maintain that momentum by ensuring that there are opportunities to help us pursue experience. And also to help every single person, young or old, realize that they have this immense potential to contribute to the vast field of public health. Also, a point that came up earlier today is that we have a lot of mentors around us, and while we will stand on the shoulders and be lifted by the shoulders of the giants that have come before us, we will not be their copies. And keeping this in mind and being empowered by it, I think that is how we should move forward. Thank you.